Have you ever wondered what drives the passionate entrepreneurs and interesting people in the hunting, fishing, and outdoor industry? Well, I did, so I set out to meet them. Aldo Leopold said, "There are those who can live without wild things and those who cannot. These are the exclusive interviews with those who cannot." My name is Kasey Mock. In 2008, I turned my passion for wildlife into a career when I launched our hunting firm, Fever Pursuit. Our family of companies has grown and now includes wildlife management and ranch real estate sales. I get to work with some of the best people and top ranches in the country, and I want to share their stories of adventure, failures, and the business principles that have led to their success. This is the Bucks to Business podcast presented by Mock Ranches. Welcome to episode number 12 of the Bucks to Business podcast presented by Mock Ranches. I'm your host, Kasey Mock, and I'm very excited about this episode. Our guest is Lee Hoffpauir, CEO of the Hoffpauir family of companies. Lee took an automotive dealership. It has now scaled that into a family of companies that services outdoorsmen, landowners, ranchers, agriculturalists throughout the state of Texas, and he's had huge success. One thing I like about Lee is he's a big giver. Lee supports 20-plus conservation, landowner, agricultural organizations and nonprofits, and he's been a true ambassador, if you will, of giving in a big way through your business and allowing that to grow your business. So we have conversations about big giving. We're going to have conversations about accountability and management of a big company and how you connect all that together, still have time and creativity left to go do cool things. I think you're going to enjoy this fast-paced, information-packed episode. It's one of our shorter episodes, and you don't want to miss the Hoffpauir Outdoor Expo coming up April the 8th in Lampasas, Texas. Complete details in the podcast, but hey, if you like this episode, please take a minute to give us a review on iTunes. Please share it on Facebook. And don't forget, if you go to our website, mockranches.com or mockranches.com/podcast, you can enter our completely free hunt giveaway. This is something we want to do for you. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you listening to the podcast, supporting our partners, and we appreciate your feedback. All you have to do is go onto the website, mockranches.com, and you can register for a free trophy whitetail deer hunt in 2017. It's our hunt giveaway sweepstakes. We're excited about it. We want you to get entered. Please share this on Facebook. Give us a review. We're going to start episode number 12 with Lee Hoffpauir right now.
Mr. Hoffpauir, thank you for spending a few minutes with us here on the Bucks to Business podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great today, just getting ready for our big event this weekend. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. Y'all are running 9-0, I guess, these days, getting ready for the expo.
I tell you what, it's after hours here now, and I've got people mowing and cleaning, and we got lots to do still before Saturday gets here.
There you go. Well, I can't wait to hear a little bit about the expo and then certainly get feedback afterwards. You know, you've got a big presence with Texas landowners. You got the largest Polaris dealership in the state. You've got General Motors. You've got Ford dealerships. You sell tractors and bows and arrows and camouflage and guns. And you and I met kind of through conservation organization. So what I'd like to do with our time today, Lee, is really just run through quickly how you got into the industry, because as we run around the state interviewing entrepreneurs in the outdoor space, you're kind of the outlier. You've built an empire that services, for a large part, landowners. What I respect about you is you don't apologize. In your position, I'm sure you've lost business for being an outspoken hunter and advocate for our Second Amendment rights. And I'm sure that's cost you a car or truck sale here and there.
Kasey, I know it has. It absolutely has. But for every one that I've lost, I've probably gained 5 more, because there's lots of like-minded thinkers out there that do like hunting and fishing and conservation, and the folks that actually get upset about it usually don't understand the program anyway. So
sure, that's right. Well, tell us how you got into all these different businesses. That you use your empire in the Hoffpauir groups. Let's refer to as, I guess, the Hoffpauir groups. But man, you're you're a big giver to CCA, which, the coast is 400 miles from your house. But to
you would be
CCA
shocked. You would be shocked how many people we sell all the way down in Houston sell new Polarises to, and I say a lot of that's due to our involvement with CCA and stuff down on the coast. I figure Texas is my territory, and I'll even bleed over into the bordering states if they'll let me.
Sure. Well, you think a lot like we do in that. Our clients, the client acquisition is too special, and the relationship with landowners, to me, is too special to have a one-and-done deal. That's why we do the podcast. That's why we sell ranches and book hunts and do consulting, because we want to do everything with them. And you've taken that to a whole new level with the Hoffpauir Group. So talk to us about how you got started in that business.
Well, I grew up in the car business. My dad was a Chevrolet dealer for years. That's what I grew up around. He started the business here back in 1964 in Lampasas, a couple of years before my time. And so I grew up a car dealer's kid. And, I love the car business. It's what brought me to the party. But I also, I'm a big outdoors person and love hunting and fishing and all the stuff. And so when I got an opportunity to buy a Polaris store back in 2007 up in Gulf Wait, Texas, a little old small thing was selling 4 or 5 units a month, and now we're the largest Polaris dealer in Texas, the second largest Polaris Ranger dealer in the world. In a little town of 1,800 people, I like to brag about that. That's a pretty good deal. But that was kind of my first endeavor into something other than the car business. And to be honest with you, it worked out great. And a lot of people that drive trucks are hunters and fishermen and outdoors people too, ranchers. And so it wasn't taking one away from the other. I could sell the same guy both. And then it's just kind of grown from there. I branched off into the feed store business, and then all the stuff that we've added to that store. And then I've always been a big gun, I won't say a gun nut, but a gun enthusiast. How about that? And, it just, when I decided that I was going to get in the gun business, I said, well, I'll just tell you, I probably own 1,500 guns. I don't know where the stopping point is, but it sure is fun.
You just want one more always, right?
Yeah, I just want one of everything, Kasey. Yeah.
That's it. Well, y'all got if people want to go back and listen, I interviewed Aaron Barton, who's your bow technician at Hoffpauir Archery there in Lampasas, and I respect Aaron. I think he's probably the best in the industry that I've worked with bow technicians all over the country. I think Aaron's about the best in the industry. He's as honest as the day is long, and he really understands tuning and understands archery, and y'all have been going and taking a lot of territory in the archery business, and a lot of folks from the state certainly talking about you. That's a pivot though, right? That's not automotive. It's not ATV. It doesn't have wheels and an engine like your tractor store. So what took you that direction? And was it you found somebody talented like Aaron and you wanted to build a business around him? Is that a business that you envisioned? Then you went and found the person? How'd you go about that?
Honestly, we were looking into putting in a gun store, a standalone gun and sporting goods store. I also have a pawn shop over in Burnett, and we were going to put a pawn shop in Lampasas. That's still in the planning stages. But we were going to build one big store to put the archery, the guns, the sporting good, and the pawn shop all under one roof, and even possibly an archery range. So you and I have talked about that some too, and that's still on the planning stages. Was talking about it, and Aaron came to me and said, hey, I hear you're talking about this, and we got to visiting, and he was a little ahead of schedule, but I said, well, heck, if he's ready to come to work for me, we'll go on and get in the archery business right now. And I had some space in one of my buildings, and by golly, we just got to moving with it. I didn't know that much about archery, but Aaron brought the business to us, so I decided to build it around him.
Well, it's funny how that happens with the right person.
Absolutely, and I wish I had 10 more Aarons. The great thing about him is it doesn't matter if you're spending $50 or $5,000 in Hoffpauir's archery. He's going to spend the same amount of time with you.
Yes, he will. I was talking to Gary Keller on Business Coach the other day, and Gary and I are starting some businesses and doing things, and he made a comment. He said, never go create the business and then go find a person to take it over. So you go find the person, build the business around them if you want to be successful. And that's the story that you just told that I heard anyway, was that Aaron was early to the party, but she thought he was the person. And you go build a business around the person. Whereas if you go build Hoffpauir's archery, bring somebody else in, now there's somebody else having to live your vision, right? And never build it and then find the person. That holds true, I think, in a lot of businesses. And I see it playing out at Hoffpauir Archery as I'm in that store and interact with Aaron. I think y'all doing a fine job there.
Yeah, and Aaron had been in this business previously, and he brought me in almost an immediate book of business. So it was just an easy fit. He had a following, and people just said we're going wherever Aaron's at, and they've been very loyal customers ever since.
Good. Lee, I want to talk to you about accountability a little bit. In a company your size, how many people report directly to you? Because this is a business conversation. It's a base podcast, right? We can talk hunting and whatever, but I want to talk to you about accountability. How do you hold your department heads, your managers accountable to hitting goals? What's that look like in your organization? Can we have that conversation?
Sure, you bet. I've got 9 rooftops, counting Toopsies that I've got a partner on, but eight retail stores. So 8, general managers, 1 for each store. Once a month, we have a sit-down, several hour managers meeting. I'm try to be accessible anytime if they need me, but for the most part, for the day-to-day operations, they tend to that themselves. If we've got a major issue of some sort, they can always pull me in for my thoughts. But once a month, we sit down and go over numbers and set goals, and for the most part, I try to give those guys their head. I don't want to micromanage by any means.
Yeah.
I did my part back in the day, and now I've surrounded myself with good people and let them do their jobs. Just hold them accountable.
That's decentralized management, right? And there's a couple ways to manage a company. You see very centralized managers, which would be one person that envisions that they're the genius surrounded by a bunch of workers, order takers.
Right.
You see that kind of business have a lot lower ceiling of achievement, your ability to scale and branch into pivot and branch into other business types and other fields and other retail areas would be limited if that was the situation, because you can't manage it all. And so if anybody's listening is building a business, your management style, if you're ever going to scale and then still be able to enjoy life like you do, you travel, you hunt, you're able to go create opportunity because you're not having to manage every day. And
right.
that's the difference between an owner, a leader, and a manager. If you were having to manage those businesses, your ceiling of achievement would be a lot lower, because it would suck your creativity dry, and it would suck your ability to go look for new opportunities to invest in real estate, new opportunities to open a business or go hunt brown bears or have the capacity to go build a partnership with CCA or Texas Wildlife Association, because you wouldn't have the bandwidth.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
So that's decentralized management at its finest. And as managers too, something we look at is accountability without consequences looks a lot like suggestion. So suggestion would be you and I talk on the phone and you say, Kasey, we've been using this technology and it's really helped us. But you have no emotional interest in whether or not I go adopt that and use that to grow my business or not. You're not emotionally invested in that. If we talk again in a year and you say, hey, man, did you ever use that technology? And I say, you know what, we never did. It doesn't hurt your feelings at all. If you took market share and we didn't, that's suggestion, right? A lot of people find leadership and accountability uncomfortable. And so with their teams, they suggest, but there's no consequence in the accountability. And by everybody agreeing to that standard and understanding when you come to that leadership meeting or you come to that sales meeting that we're going to talk about standards and we're going to talk about the activities to get there, because you told me, right, if I'm speaking to one of my managers or one of our leadership team or my sales guys, you told me when I hired you that you wanted to go achieve these things in life. You wanted to build this type of an opportunity for your family. And we agreed we could accomplish that through this organization. I'm going to do these things. You got to do those things. If one of us isn't keeping up our end of the bargain, then you don't go accomplish that. And I'm actually very emotionally invested in you, right? So what that does, it allows us to be hard on the standard, not the person.
Right.
And you go in a meeting that's in some ways uncomfortable, but you come out and you say, you know what, man, I was hard on you there because I love you. And I was hard on you because I want to see you achieve what you told me you wanted to achieve. And so that's good. I appreciate you being vulnerable on that, Lee.
Sure, you bet.
Hey, guys, let's talk real estate for a second. Buying or selling a piece of land may be the largest financial transaction you'll ever make. Gary Keller once said, "There are two kinds of real estate agents, those who list property and those who market property." At Mock Ranches, we are ranch marketing experts. So choose a real estate firm that specializes in land sales and understands land management. Learn more at mockranches.com and receive a free ranch map when you mention the Bucks to Business podcast. That's mockranches.com.
One thing I had to learn, Kasey, I don't know, you and I haven't ever discussed this, but about 12 years ago, my deal was a lot different. My sister was still involved in the business. My brother-in-law was involved in the business. My brother-in-law was the Ford dealer. My sister ran our Chevy store down in Mall Falls, and I ran the Chevy store in Lampasas. My dad's health was failing, and it turned out my sister had a few health issues, and she needed to get out of the business. And I was 35 years old. I wasn't ready to by any means to get out of business. I was still in growth mode.
Sure.
So I ended up buying my dad and my sister out, but then as I kept beginning to grow, back in the day, I used to appraise every car. I was involved in every car deal at the Chevy store. I was involved in everyday management, and I had to learn how to back off and let go and start putting key people in those positions. And I will tell you now, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. It took a little learning curve, and it's kind of like with kids. Sometimes you just got to give them their head and let them make a few mistakes. And it's same with your managers. But we've all learned, sure. and most of these guys that have now been around me for years, and I also have a chief financial officer, Kirk Whitehead, that's been with me. He's actually worked for me for 30 years now. He, and he absolutely knows. He could be blindfolded and know how I'm going to make every decision. So he'll handle it just like I would, even if I'm in Canada on a deer hunt or something.
Yes, sir.
But all these managers that I've surrounded myself with have been around me long enough, and I feel comfortable. They're going to make the same decision I would 99% of the time. So but it's just a matter of now I've got that comfort level. It's great, and it works great for them because they don't want me hanging over their shoulders. And for the most part, that's not productive.
Yeah, no, they don't want you looking over their shoulder. You don't want to be there anyway.
That's right. But I want them to feel like it's their store too. So.
Well, that makes hiring a very important process. And I know we're both short on time here, and I want to get to the expo. But if you think that way, that makes every hire. You think you're hiring to the future position. You're hiring somebody in every position of the business that can take over their manager's role. Or when you hire your direct managers, the people that report to you, they have the ability to take your job one day. And that's how the company scales. And if you're ever in any business, whether somebody's listening on here that owns a deer breeding operation, or somebody on here's trying to launch a product, a new grunt tube, some broadheads, whatever they're doing, when you start hitting your ceiling of achievement, you're either missing the right person, maybe you've settled for the wrong person because you've hired out of pain, but you're missing the right person or the right system. We always start with the system first, see where we can find efficiency, and then hire very slow. But I appreciate your insight into that, Lee. I think that's helpful for a lot of entrepreneurs. True entrepreneurs don't like letting go of things very easily. And in order to scale, you have to, And I think that's the biggest challenge of entrepreneurs today. It's the biggest challenge I face is not letting go of stuff. And when my coach talks to me and says, "Are you hitting your number?" and I say yes or no, if the answer is no, we go into why. And it's either an activity that I'm not doing that I committed to do, or I'm not leading my team well enough. If I'm not leading my team well enough, I'm not able to block the time for the activity that I committed to do. And so that's good. Man, talk to us real quick. List off the conservation organizations that y'all support. Do you remember them all?
I actually have one of the flyers in front of me because I'm not sure I could remember them all. But CCA, Deer Breeders Corporation, Ducks Unlimited, Dallas Safari Club, Exotic Wildlife Association, Mule Deer Foundation, Friends of NRA, National Wild Turkey Federation, Buckmasters, Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers, Quail Coalition, Rocky Mountain Elk, the Texas Dove Association, Texas Deer Association, Texas State Rifle Association, Texas Trophy Hunters, and TWA, Texas Wildlife. That's the ones here on my sheet. And they were all
on your sheet
here this weekend.
Good. well, man, you're giving back in the areas that you're passionate. It's strategic giving, and I like that. I think that's smart. As a company should give strategically. A company should look at, how do I give to support the industry that supports me? And you're doing that at a very high level. That's how you and I met, was at Texas Wildlife Association. And I was impressed with what you're doing, and reached out to you one day, said, hey, man, I want to get together with you and see how we can do more business, because I like what you're doing for the industry. And if I'm going to have to buy a car from somebody, I'd rather buy it from somebody that's supporting the industries that I'm passionate about. And if I'm going to buy a Polaris Ranger from somebody, I'd rather buy it from somebody that's supporting the industry and supporting the landowners that we all work for. So thanks for what you're doing there. Anything to add there on why a business, not about you necessarily, if you had to tell people listening, why as a business you should be a big giver, what would you say?
Well, honestly, I've found that when I give, it comes back full circle, no matter what it is. But it's the truth in business, just like in life. But I found that I can spend a bunch of money on TV and radio and newspaper ads and stuff like that, or I can donate a couple of Polaris Rangers to TWA, and believe it or not, I'll end up, TWA now, we give a membership to everybody that buys a new Polaris from us, and have been doing that for years, and that TWA membership has grown and grown and grown. I think they've got like 12,000 members now. Well, if I'm now kind of the Polaris dealer for Texas Wildlife Association, and I can't really say that, but we're the only one there usually at their banquets, and anyway, now there's a bunch of those people that are talking just like you did, that says, hey, I've got to buy a car, I got to buy a tractor, or whatever. I'm going to buy from Hoffpauir because he's supporting what I'm passionate about. And they end up buying from me. Well, I'd rather donate that stuff to the TWA, and those people end up being my customers, than wasting that. I shouldn't say waste, but spending a bunch of money on shotgun blasts of advertising everywhere, just hoping somebody's listening. I'm getting probably a better return out of investing that into a particular group that I'm just as passionate about their cause.
Yeah.
I mean, I got involved with TWA, and like I said, I know we're short on time. My nephew came to me probably 15 years ago when he was in college, and was selling some kind of membership deals. He went to Texas A&I down in Kingsville, and they had some kind of drive deal that they were selling memberships to TWA. I'd never even heard of them. But I liked the magazine, I liked what he told me, and so I bought a membership. Then a little bit later, I bought a life membership because I still thought I got to reading about it and thought it was a great program. And here we are 15 years later that I'm on the executive committee, very involved at most of their functions, and you don't ever know when one of those relationships is going to really grow like that. And I've kind of had stories like that with several of these associations.
Well, a neat story, and we'll wrap up the conservation portion with this. A neat story you and I talked about in your office was your involvement with CCA, and that some of your staff there, your team there, management team at the Polaris dealership thought, man, that's a long way from, CCA, Coastal Conservation Association.
Right.
Man, it's a long way from the coast, or we're going to get business. And that's a prime example of somebody in your shoes that is thinking big, but then going small. So we're thinking on a mega scale, a macro scale. How can we reach and go take more territory, and how can we reach more targets? We've identified this as a target client base, and then go small. And what you see is what y'all have done now. You've been doing that 3-4 years, donating a Ranger.
Right. It's actually, we're donating 3 Rangers and 3 trailers to the Star Tournament.
Yeah, Tournament.
Bill Keeney, I don't know if you know Bill, he was very persuasive, kept telling me that if I'd just stick with it, it'd pay off. and my manager at the Polaris store, he kind of fought and kicked and screamed, kept going, that's a lot of money that we were giving us away, and I don't know that we're ever going to see any return on it. In the first couple of years, we probably didn't, and you and I both know, it's repetition, keeping your name out there and being involved. You can't just try it one time
overkill
and
over
hope
time.
that it's going to work.
Overkill over time, and that's what people in a small business have to see. In my industry, that's usually lead generation. In the real estate field, or if we're trying to sell hunts, it's usually lead generation. That's the part that sucks. It's the part that we don't like doing. That's our Ranger. And if we're overkill on lead generation over time, it starts paying back, and then you build such a residual return on that activity that you see the growth. exponential growth. So it's just time on task. It's time on task over time, and overkill over time is what produces big results. And you should have, I think entrepreneurs and business owners need to apply that to their marketing, to their giving, to their prospecting for talent. It's just overkill over time on what works instead of the shotgun effect. Instead of just spray and pray, we got $2,000, which for a lot of small businesses, $2,000 a month to spend in marketing. We're going to try to get in every possible magazine. You're better off to focus. You're better off to have clarity on what's going to return back to your business, and then just hammer on that and have clarity enough on it to stick with it until it does return.
Absolutely.
So talk to us real quick about. Go ahead.
I was going to say that same manager that didn't want to do the program back then, I mentioned maybe we ought to scale back. He's, oh, no. We're getting so many customers out of CCA now that are driving up here and saying the only reason they're buying from us is because we support their passion. He said, no way can we quit that, boss.
We can't scale back now.
Not that I was trying to quit it. I just asked him if it was really paying off, and he's come full circle on his support of it.
Good. Well, we all appreciate what you're doing there, Lee.
Hey, Bucks to Business friends. To show our appreciation for you taking your time to listen to the Bucks to Business podcast, we want to give you an opportunity to win a free trophy whitetail hunt with our team at Fever Pursuits Professional Hunting Services during the 2017 season. It's easy to sign up. All you need to do is pause this episode that you're listening to right now, get out your phone, tablet, or your laptop, and go to mockranches.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Or you can go to mockranches.com/podcast and register there. But it's an easy process. Just subscribe to our newsletter and you get a chance to win a free trophy whitetail hunt during the 2017 season with our team. We very much appreciate you and hope that you win the hunt.
Talk to us about the expo real quick. I want to know what's going on and why in the world would you want to produce an event like this?
This Saturday, April 8th, 10 to 6 here at my ranch out on Farm to Market 580 west of Lampasas. There's so many, with us having 8 or 9 different, 9, because I count Toopsie's, the restaurant, Cajun restaurant here, because they're going to be here cooking all day too, is one of my businesses. So many people, we've got a huge customer base, but say people that are buying Polaris's from me that may live in Dallas don't know that I've got a Ford dealership or a Chevrolet dealership or that we sell. Now we just picked up Legends bass boats and Manitou pontoon boats down at my store in Burnett. But I wanted to do a better job of letting my Polaris customers know about the other stuff and vice versa. And so I thought, what better way to do it than to try to get everything all together in one location and invite tons of people there. And I will tell you from, there's been over 200,000 views on our expo page on Facebook.
Yep.
And I see comments on there, I didn't know they sold anything other than trucks, or I didn't know they sold anything other than Polaris. And they don't know that we sell Miss Me jeans, and we sell Ariat boots, and we sell Tannerite, and we sell, the list goes, Big Tex trailers and Bowtech and Bad Boy mowers. There's so many things, hundreds of products that we sell, and we're going to have over 100 different vendors here at this event with representation from their companies to help us. Some of it's for show, some of it's for sale, some of it's just for demonstration. But everything you see here this weekend, you're going to be able to, if you don't do something here, you can go buy it at one of the Hoffpauir stores after the
Right. Well, it's strategic. It's given you a platform, what I've seen from the outside in, it's given you a platform to go blast out the brand on social media because you're giving to people. A lot of giveaways. That's strategic.
Over $50,000 worth of giveaways this weekend.
Yeah, see, that's the deal, right? I think too many people get on social media and they say, I've got this for sale. Would you buy it? Here's my new listing. Here's our new truck. Here's our Ranger. Here's this. It's always asking something to the audience. Well, you've been now for 2 months, 3 months, blasting out multiple times a day on social media. Here as an audience, as a customer that we appreciate, here's what we're going to give you. Come on out. We're going to give you some stuff. And the message is so different. It's great for your brand. There's no question. From the outside in, it's great for your brand. But the message is so different. And I was talking to a social media consultant in North Carolina this weekend, Shannon Hart. Shannon's going to come speak to our agents pretty quick. But that was a basis of it. Look, nobody wants to know what you've got for sale. If you're just continually asking of your audience, your response rate's going to be low. If you're giving and giving value and building excitement, it's different. That's what works. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, a smart guy that I visited with one time named Mock told me that you need a purpose to touch those customers so many times a year, and I was listening when he told me that. So.
Well, I don't know how smart he was. Pick your profits wisely, Lee.
All right.
All right, man. Well, I sure appreciate you hanging out with us. I hope you get a big crowd at the expo, and we look forward to seeing the results of that. You and I are going to be doing a lot more business together coming up in the near future, and, man, I appreciate you. What can I do for you before we hang up?
I just send everybody to send us to see us on Saturday. If they can't make a Saturday, come see us whenever.
All right. Couldn't have stuck around this long if you're steering us wrong.
Couldn't have stuck around that long if I was steering you wrong. That's right. Yes, sir.
All right, Lee. Go get them. Thanks, man.
All right. Take care.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please follow us on iTunes and give us a review. We enjoy reading your reviews, and the ratings help us move up the list. You can also follow us on social media at Instagram or Facebook at Bucks to Business Podcast.